Welcome to a Legacy Enchantress video. This is Spatula of the Ages. Today I'm going to be playing a Yorion Ursula list. So Ursula is a list that I've been working on since the printing of Omen of the Sea. It is a heavily blue-green focused Enchantress list that is able to support Force of Will, and in the 80 card version, Force of Negation as well. And the idea is to run the Argothian Enchantresses, but to rely more on Estrid's Invocation as your second draw engine. So this is a copy enchantment that flickers every upkeep, which works with Abundant Growth, Omen of the Sea, Ground Seal, to draw cards. This list, I've seen a few people stream it. And a couple people have talked about it and asked about it. It's pretty difficult to play. I'm still really figuring out how to build it and play it. There is some inconsistency. Generally, Enchantress can have inconsistency because there are elements that you want to draw in certain ratios. Like you don't want to draw all wild growth effects, but if you don't draw any, then you tend to be a little bit slower, although this version isn't as reliant on them as other versions. You want to draw a Force of Will, but you also want to draw other blue cards, and you want to draw something that can start drawing cards later on and make up for the card disadvantage of Force of Will. So there's still a lot of stuff to figure out. And then also, it can just be inconsistent because the deck has a lot of different game plans that you can switch between, which can also make it very versatile. And you have, I don't really think there are many matchups, if any, where I don't feel like I have a reasonable chance, except maybe Burn. I think Burn is pretty unwinnable. But beyond that, I think you have a reasonable shot against fast combo with the forces and your sideboard cards. Against the fair decks, I think you're favored, especially the Yorion Mirror. I think you're a bit favored. Delver is a little bit rougher, I think, than other Enchantress lists, but you do have the grasses, the trials, the snakes. Snakes have been really good in my testing. And against board heavy decks, you get to do Mike Giant if they're creatures, or just Reality Acid away their board. I've got a primer on mtgthesource.com, so I won't go too much right now into breaking down every specific interaction, because that would take forever, and there's a lot of them. Maybe we'll talk about them as we play a couple matches. Let's see, I already started this one. Oh yeah, I lost to a Yorion list that just had multiple forces and like a Plague Engineer and Oko in their first few cards. But it was pretty close. I think we're pretty favored in the Yorion Mirror, just because generally speaking, the Enchantresses and Invocation are more powerful than Oko in the Mirror. That said, Oko is actually kind of a problem for the deck, but it's another one where the snakes help, and actually Yorion helps against Oko because you can bring back your Doomwake or Spinners or whatever they turned into an elk, and get them back. So yeah, Yorion in this list. So again, the 80 card inconsistency thing is actually pretty real. Like, it is less consistent than the 60 card version, but this deck really, like, Yorion is already doing what this deck wants to do. Or this deck is already doing what Yorion wants to do anyway. So adding that card when it came out, I think proved pretty powerful. I played against this person just a little bit ago. I think they were on like Grixis. No, they were on Temur Delver. I don't think that it was Canadian Threshold with like Stifles and stuff. I think it was Temur Delver with Oko. So this is awkward. If one of these was a basic, we'd be fine, even if it was just a basic island. But drawing 2 or 3 non-basics against Delver is pretty awkward, especially because this is otherwise a really good hand. I mean, we could not play the Wild Growth. But even if we don't play the Wild Growth, if they lead on Wasteland, we're in trouble and need to draw a second land. Pardon me. Allergy season. But, man, this is a tough one because we have the Snake. Snake's really good. Ground Seal can be really good against Dreadhorde. The Wild Growth can be really good if we find a basic. We could lead on the Bayou. Hope they don't have a natural wasteland. If we get to turn 2, we get to at least start cantripping. And we're likely to find another land. High risk. So there's about a 40% chance they've got wasteland. This is really high risk. Pretty high reward. I mean, we've got Force for Protection, we've got Snake. Again, Ground Seal can be pretty strong. I've actually found Mystic Remora to be pretty strong in this matchup, which I first thought it wouldn't be, but it can be situational. You definitely don't lead with it. But if they play a Dreadhorde and pass, your Remora can start looking insane. Like the fact that you're also going to be drawing cards off their Dreadhorde really takes the sting out of that card and hampers its ability to actually take over the game. So we're going to lead on Bayou because it's more expendable. And if they don't have the second Wasteland, our Trop will let us cast whatever, regardless of whether we top a forest or an island. But we are relying on drawing a land at some point soon here. Okay, good. That's not a... There we go, thank you. Alright, because we drew the basic forest, we're going to Wild Growth. If we had drawn an island, we could have put the Wild Growth on an island, unlike Utopia Sprawl, but here we're just going to Ground Seal. If they daze it, Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, that's fine. Okay. That's very good now. This is interesting and suggests that they don't have a second land, but I'm going to let it go. I can't afford to fight over every cantrip. I mean, I guess they could have switched decks, and that was like, looking for the extra combo piece, in which case we definitely want to hold on to all our counters. But I'm going to assume for now that they're still on Temur Delver, Rogue Delver. I really don't like the way that foils look online, but maybe that's just because my graphics card is not good. I don't know. So we really are not going to force anything that they're going to be doing right now because of days. We don't want to trade 2 cards for a daze. We will be siding out the Forces of Negation, but we'll leave in Force of Will. And you'll see that our blue count's a little bit low, but the Force of Wills are going to be largely actually to protect us in the late game from being finished off by lightning bolts. That's why we can't afford to side them out. It's tempting and probably just correct to play this Utopia Sprawl. So that we have Yorion as an option next turn. They could be holding Spell Pierce well, for that matter, they could be holding Spell Snare. I'm kind of content to add a turn Ice Vein and hold up counters rather than potentially just walking into a Spell Pierce here. If we don't get Wastelanded next turn, we can just Invocation outside of Spell Pierce range, depending on what they do. Just random bolt. Random bolt is fine. So this is an Oko? Okay, we will Oko. Or we will counter Oko. They force? Do we force back? I actually really like both these cards. So I think I'm happy just to let them. They won't. I mean, this is kind of a slow Oko start, so I'm fine with the 2-for-1. We're gonna look for a land drop here so we can Invocation outside of days. That's gonna be good. But for right now, we'll take the island. In case of like some weird wasteland stuff, we'll leave our basic untapped in case we do need to. We need blue though. In case we do need to force something next turn. Okay, so those are both really good. They're not on black, so we don't need to like hide the Argothian from the Thoughtseize. That's fine. This is a slow clock. Alright, there's the wasteland. Luckily, it was a lot later than was. And luckily, they also did not hit the Bayou, which is reasonable on their part. We don't have that many black cards. Blue is more important for sure, but in this particular moment, we really want that black. They're probably holding up a force negation, I guess. I'm not sure what else. I don't know if we need both Argothians. I'd like to make a land drop here. Okay. I'm happy, killing a token with this because we're going to be able to, once Trial's in play, we'll be able to copy it every turn with Invocation. So this is really going to impair their ability to build any kind of clock. Oh, we forgot to Ice Fan in a turn. That was a mistake. Even if they had a day, it still would have been worth it, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, we don't need lands anymore. We'll probably draw some at some point. Alright, Abundant Growth is a great draw, because it's +2 cards. Make our land drop and pass, I suppose. I'm curious what's in their hand at this point. Because, like, if it was a force, you would have thought they'd try to counter the Trial of Ambition. Are they just flooded? Well, they've missed land drop. Well, a land drop, I suppose. I'm interested in just preserving my life total rather than like trying to save the snakes for Yorion. We're already so far ahead in card advantage that we're not going to lose from that. We're going to lose from having a low life. This time I'm going to remember to. I should have cracked the Verdant Catacombs too. Snake at a turn. Because we have the other trial, we'll just go ahead and draw cards here. I didn't have. I'm an idiot. I didn't have the Death Touch. I forgot about cracking fetches. Okay, we want both these cards actually. Okay. So yeah, we could have killed this. So that was dumb. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can omen at instant speed. So let's go ahead and just, I guess, paint the Oko. They could have a no, the fairy that bounces things would really be the only reason not to attack, but I don't think it's terribly likely. Okay, there's their audios. Definitely don't need more lands. I'm holding off on the Yorion, partially because of Oko, partially just because there's not really a need to like tap out. With the Enchantresses in play, I draw cards for enchantments whether they're countered or not. I don't need Yorion yet. That said, I need to start being conscientious of the clock. Like, we've got control of this game. We need to actually finish it, though. So I'll be doing that by aciding away their board. I think this person might have like lag issues. I remember last game they were also just taking a very long time to yield on stuff that was not consequential or like within their control. Okay, we don't need more lands. We could go for a Destiny Spinner, but we can just wait till we have more mana. The later the game, the better Spinner becomes. So, wait, is this blue? Yeah, let's start with just Acid on Oko. I'll just leave Ice Fan as a blocker to preserve our life total. We actually don't want to reduce the Oko to 10 because then they could -5 and then -5 possibly. And that would get rid of our acid, which is not what we want. We want to keep our acid in play. You can abundant growth fetch lands to save yourself a life, but obviously then they're wastelandable. We can play the Riptide. Hey, okay, yeah, they're getting bored. That's reasonable. It can take a little while to close, especially if you're trying to be careful and just not, do anything dumb that would suddenly put the opponent back in the game, which is what I was doing. Like the opponent was out of that game, but you don't want to screw something up and then let them attack your life total, which is really they're out at that point. So we're going to bring in the grasses, are really good against them. I've cut 2 of them from the main and put 2 in the board because, well, because it's funny, the slots are still tight just because of various ratios you're trying to maintain between like blue cards, enchantments, your mana count and stuff. There are matchups where grass is really, really good and matchups where it's not. But for a while I was running Trials in the board and then 4 grass in the main. But I think Trials is actually a little better than I thought right now, even though there's like a lot of Strixes and Snakes around. Those are also in Yorion decks, so killing them isn't that big a deal, and we don't mind spending a card to do it because we can just get value on it later from Riptide Chimera, bouncing it back, or Invocation, copying it, or just Yorion, flickering it. So the cards that we don't want Forces of Negation. Reality Acid is pretty situational. We might still want a couple. We will see. Destiny Spinner is actually not that amazing in this matchup. It's really more for like the grindy decks. Decks with Lightning Bolt are pretty good against her because she just gets bolted and then doesn't really do anything else. I'm okay also trimming on kill conditions because of having access to Yorion. So having Doomwakes, Yorions, Ice Veins, and Riptides is fine. What's our last card? I don't know about going down to just 1 acid. That might be correct though. There's an argument for like the presence, just because it's a bit slow. It's easy to daze, especially on the draw. There's an argument for just running 3 Force of Wills. I think I might do that. And you really try to play more of the Enchantress game against Delver. With the occasional clutch, with the occasional clutch Force of Will. Back to basics, obviously, it's insane against them. Any of the 3 color versions, it's rare for them to be running any basics at all. Against the blue-red version, it's not as good, although it's still often pretty good. Okay, so this hand doesn't do anything. Like, we're 1 island away from being in a great position. But even then, actually, we're still, like, we're not off to a fast start. There's no acceleration, and if that land is a basic, then we are very vulnerable to Wasteland. So I think we have to mulligan this. This hand is also super shady, but it does have Force of Will. I think we multi 5. Like, being able to force a turn 1 Delver could be pretty good if they don't have a Daze. Like, definitely their scariest start is turn 1 Delver. If they don't have that, you know, if they turn 1 Delver, it's probably something like 60% in their favor, and if they don't, it's probably 60% or more in our favor. So having a force for that is pretty sweet. And again, we're just like, well, we're 1 land off, but we're also like, we can cast an Argothian, it gets countered by something, we play the second one, but then we can't cast any of these other spells. I mean, we'd bottom the Doomwake for sure, because we're very far from Doomwake time. So I mean, we could draw one of our 25 lands. If we draw one of the 3 of those that's not basic, we're not in a great spot. I guess it's 72 because we know the Doomwake is not going to be drawn. We could draw one of our 10 Excel, 1 green mana, like Wild Growth or Carpets. And we'd have 2 cards to find something. We'd have 2 to find a land. That's not great. And 1 to find a Wild Growth. I think we mult. That's tough. Okay. That's a good hand. So we're going to have to bottom the Force of Will. Mulling to 5, I don't think we can afford the card disadvantage that entails. I'm going to bottom the Invocation because Riptide is really good against a Delver start because it can be hard for a Delver to get through. We'll lead on Foothill Wild Growth, Foothill Basic Forest Wild Growth, and then be able to Vista for Basic Island. That's a good draw. I think it's a good draw. Are they on Canadian? Are they going to stifle this? Gotta say, I wasn't expecting it. Because I feel like last time I saw them on like Dreadhorde, and, you know, generally like with Dreadhorde, you need to run more of the 1 mana proactive spells. Because, you know, Dreadhording a stifle is rarely useful. Since we drew a Sprawl, there's an argument for Sprawling instead of Wild Growth. But we might need that for... There's also an argument that, like, if they left mana open, they're probably just going to counter this, and so I'd rather preserve the Sprawl for color fixing for black later on. Okay, they didn't counter it. The argument for playing the Sprawl first is that I could, like, tap the forest and put a Wild Growth on the basic island I'm going to get. I suppose I could get a basic forest, but then if the Sprawl gets countered for some reason, then I'm out of blue, and I can't use it for black. Anyway, we'll draw another card. That might inform our decision. That's fine. They're a fan of that. Maybe I should leave the spinners in if they're just going to like waste their lightning bolts so aggressively. It would make a little more sense if this was blue-red Delver, just because they're much more aggressive by nature. But in Rug, it just doesn't... It's hard to imagine there wasn't a better thing you could have done with your turn 1. Good for us, though. Will we play around days? Well, that depends. So the bad thing about playing a Riptide into this would be that feeding the Goyf by 2, because it's a creature and an enchantment. which normally works in our favor, but not against Goyf. It's probable that what I want to do here is like, I really want to be able to get black mana off this Sprawl. Because Sprawler, Abundant Growth are my only, well, and Carpet are my only ways to get black mana that can't be wastelanded. And, you know, drawing a Trial would be great against Goyf. So I think what we do, maybe we Ground Seal without playing a land, because if they have a Daze, they're going to have a Daze target either way, but I'd actually probably rather get the Sprawl out, because they didn't play a Dreadhorde. So we'll see if they have Daze. I don't. At least I don't think so. They must have kept some kind of counter, though. They milled to 6. Could be that that was just for land, and I forgot that I wanted to get an island off of this, so now I'm screwed again. I mean, I need to play this Sprawl. So blue it is. Technically, I guess we can always try to reset. And against Delver, yeah, you always want to stack your land enchantments, your land auras, because they could be running Winter Orb post-board. And they, you know, maybe if they're like some weird mid-range like bug list, they might have like Assassin's Trophy, but otherwise you're more likely to be punished for spreading out your enchantments than for stacking them. We could Remora into Presence, and that way if they Daze or counter us, we draw a card. They probably have a Force of Will or Force of Negation, I would imagine here. Okay. Interesting. I mean, maybe they just got a bunch of burn spells and they'll just burn us out here. That would suck. But, I would think they'd burn in response, though. To Remora, I mean. Unless they're trying to bluff a Spell Pierce, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. They've got 3 cards in hand, but they're not doing anything. They like all Okos, and they were pondering for the land for Oko. Did they shuffle? They did not. Yeah. And Oko would be a pretty big problem, to be honest. Like, we already need to deal with this Goyf. The grass will help. Okay. That's a lot of Goyf. Alright. Well, grass is at least relevant, so let's hope that doesn't get countered. I think they have 1 card left. They can't. It could be a Daze, but I don't think they've got a Daze, or they would have. Wait, why didn't they play a Goyf the turn they just pondered and passed? Alright, I don't think we can afford to keep this Remora up. We really need. We're going to lead on the grass because they can't counter that with just the 1 spell, and that's really important. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, we got to lead on that. We could Abundant Growth. It gets us an extra card to try to find another land. But if we don't, if we miss, then we're like stuck. Although, I mean, we drew Ice Vein, and that would have been fine too. But so with Invocation, you can get around the cumulative upkeep, so I'll only be paying 1 mana for upkeep for these 2 grasses. I'll put the upkeeps on the bottom of the stack. You always put your upkeeps and fading at the bottom of the stack. That said, I do want this Ice Vein to resolve. Then I'll flicker above it. It'll become a new card. I won't have to pay upkeep on the old one. Always yield. Yes, you have to use the always yields with this deck because, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you can run out of time for sure. Oh man, basic would be great, please. Basic land. All right. I don't want this to get dazed. I'm gonna play the Ice Fan. All right. Again, we're gonna stack here, and we've already got blue. Let's say more blue. Oh shit, I don't have a Death Touch. Fucking non-basics. Alright. I think we have to block anyway here. We don't want to go to just Lightning Bolt range. Because if that's their last card, then we're just dead. So we'll chump. Next turn we can chump with the Argothian. It's fine. This is another one where like we're just easily winning the card advantage war, but we have to preserve our life total. So it's fine. We block here. I'm glad they didn't leave the Wasteland untapped, because actually we would have been in a very awkward position if they wasted this tropical island. So it's a good thing they didn't see that. Okay, great. So Argothian into Invocation then. They could have, if they tap out for their turn, that's fantastic. Fantastic. We will chump block. Not a hard decision there. If they don't fetch before they go to attacks, they don't have the option when they're forced attacks, but they knew that apparently, so they cracked beforehand. Okay, this is an easy block, obviously, since it's lethal. And then we really hope this back to basics resolves. If not, we've got a Riptide. Easy block. So we are going to let the natural grass die. At this point, they'll be copying each other, which does unfortunately create some false triggers, which are a little time consuming. Another reason you have to always yield. I can explain why in a minute, because the copy says, when it copies, it says it's that enchantment plus the flicker ability. But if they copy each other, the one that it's copied already has the flicker ability, so they keep adding flicker abilities, but the false ones just sort of, you press yes or no, it doesn't matter, and they go away. So we're going to copy the natural one. And the reason that we're letting this die is because at 4 mana per attacker, they're just at 1 attacker anyway. They can't have 8 mana next turn, so they can't attack with 2 guys. So either way, they're at 1 attacker. I'm leading with the mana first. I always lead with the free spells. And then we'll go to the second main phase. There's the Force of Will. I was looking for that because I really want this back to basics to resolve. Yeah, we will. We'll hit blue, and we'll do that. All right, great. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, so I mean, at that point, the game's over. They probably have 1 more Volk in their deck, and that's it for blue mana. So that would be like 1 Lightning Bolt. We'd be at 1, and they'd never be able to attack. I guess they could just like draw a bunch of wastelands, and save them for the attack. But even then, they wouldn't get to 4 mana. So what did we beat? We beat the same deck, and then what was this? This was... You know what I haven't been able to test this against recently is I haven't seen Cloud Post in forever. Which, when I was playing the 60 card version, was actually doing alright against it, because Reality Acid was really, really good against them. Some other Delver deck. Probably Teamer as well. It's just very popular right now. Yeah, yeah. That's it. I like beating 3-teamer decks, Teamer Delver decks. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like an overwhelmingly good matchup. I think it's a little favorable. Are we not searching? Okay. The snakes help a lot. Again, they've been really clutch in the Delver matchups, especially, as well as like, you know, Eldrazi. That card slot was Brainstorm in the 60 card version because I was running Counterbalance, but Counterbalance was already pretty borderline. Going up to 80 cards just really kind of makes it a blind flip that you don't often have control over because you've only got the 4 Brainstorms, and like Omen of the Sea or like Mirror's Guile could theoretically interact, but in practice it's a little bit clunky. The burn matchup is, I think, pretty unwinnable without the counterbalances, but you kind of don't expect to run into too much burn these days because everybody's running Oko and Uro, so, you know, the fact that so many people have main deck life gain just really doesn't make burn a good choice. So we can talk about some of the other interactions. So free upkeeps with Estrus Invocation and Elephant Grass. Riptide Chimera does something a little different where you get to reset the upkeep essentially. So you'll put the Riptide, you'll resolve the Riptide before the upkeep. So you just bounce it, you don't have to pay it, you can recast it. That can be worse in certain situations where you're like tight on mana, for example, or like they have a chalice that they didn't have earlier. But there's situations where, like, if you have an Enchantress in play but not a lot of cards, bouncing the enchantment is really good, or you're just drawing like all lands because you make sure that you have more enchantments to cast to keep drawing cards to try to go off more and keep developing your board, or you know, draw you to your next force. And Riptide also has been good, you know, because it blocks Delver very well, which has been nice. I think this person's on some kind of like miracles. Turn 1 Wild Growth into Ground Seal. We really, if we find a blue source, we're gold. Or we could find another Enchantress, or Ground Seal, or Abundant Growth. I think we've got a lot of outs here. So I think this is a reasonable start to a hand, but this is a kind of hand that you do get a lot, especially in the 80 card version of the deck, where you're like kind of missing one key component, but you've got a lot of other, like if you get that one component, you're gold, you know. We are going to lead on the Wild Growth. I guess no, I was going to say there's an argument since we need a land anyway, but we can Ground Seal at a minimum next turn. And if they're on a fair deck, Ground Seal is pretty good. It's actually mainly for the fair decks, not for like Reanimator or something. Like you can randomly steal from Reanimator with it, but it's rare. It's more for stopping like Snapcaster and Mystic Sanctuary and other random fair cards. Land? Are they going to counter this? I think I might have to protect it because we really need to find a land. And while this is a random card, it is definitely going to get us one card closer to our next land. So that actually suggests to me Delver, because otherwise, like, are they actually going to like force this? You would generally trade 2 cards for it. Land, please? Okay. Not a land. Alright, well, hopefully the next card is an island. I wonder what this is. Maybe it's combo. Like some kind of storm combo. Maybe we'll get lucky and I'll get greedy and go off here without a Thoughtseize or Duress. Ground Seal unfortunately does not really do anything against any kind of storm combo. It doesn't stop graveyard effects, it only stops very specific cards. And Past in Flames is not one of those cards. That is not the ideal draw. Alright, well, we didn't get the piece that we needed, or Argothians, or Abundant Growth, or another Ground Seal. Missing the 1-land drop I don't think was necessarily a huge deal. Missing 2 is a lot worse. What the fuck? Alright. That seems really strong. Yeah, I mean, we have to force that. Our hand's tight. This is some kind of like weird Delver deck. I guess the acid is pretty bad. Well, we can't be spell pierced, so we got that going for us. Blue? Blue mana, blue mana, blue mana, blue mana. Come on. Okay. Well, this is awkward. Okay, so it is some kind of Grixis Delver list. Special under yields return. Don't want to give away that we don't have force. Just act like we don't care about that Delver, but we do care, actually. We care a lot. I will be 100% walking things in today's at this point, if that's not obvious. Okay. I'm glad they kept the Dread Horde, even though it doesn't do anything. Well, maybe they've got the Fairy. Come on. That's... Alright, well, I'm going to play this now, because there's a danger if you wait too long on the grass that it doesn't really stifle their board development the way you want. So I really want them to start having to choose between developing their board more or building, or putting pressure on me. I definitely want them to attack with this Dread Horde if they don't realize that it's not going to do anything except 1 damage. You know, I'm acting all smartass about it, but that 1 damage is going to kill me, so... yeah. So just the 1. Okay, nice. 2 mana for 1 damage. Not bad, not bad. Alright, now we yield through. Islands, place to islands. There we go. sure this will get countered, but you know, we need to start somewhere, you know? We'll pay the upkeep, I think, one more turn. We do need the life. So I mean the boarding plan's gonna be pretty similar. This is gonna be another like probably no basic lands list. Okay. I guess it changes it from a 5-turn clock to a 4-turn clock to attack with the Dread Horde, but hard to imagine they don't have better stuff to do with their mana. We'll pay for this, and if we don't draw land, I guess we'll just remora. I might actually want to just force that, because I can't do anything yet about the pressure coming into the board. I can do something about that, and I'm, you know, probably gonna just die with a bunch of cards in hand. So we are gonna have to let the grass drop so that we can try to do something. What we really want, I suppose, is an abundant growth into another land, and then trial. I have another bolt, in which case we're probably just dead. Yeah, I mean, we're at 5. Even if we get mana for the trial. Oh no, they left a wasteland untapped. Okay. That signals that they don't have another bolt. They probably have a force though, then. In that case. Yeah, unfortunately, we gotta let the grass go. Well, it gets a bayou. I'm gonna have to do it. I just hope they don't have another bolt somewhere. Or counter, for that matter, actually. Basically, just hope that their hand is, I don't know, more creatures. I reckon. That said, if they do have a force, we have it. No, even if we draw a force, we're dead. Because we'd be at 3 after that. It's hard to imagine us winning this, but especially because now, like the rest of the game, a top deck bolt is just lights out. Guess we could draw a force negation if they do it on their turn. But then we don't have the invocation. We could draw a blue source for Yorion. Alright. Force negation. 2 outs. 2 outs in the whole deck. And then we still probably just lose to a force of will. Okay, that's not a force negation. Alright. Alright, so pretty much the same game plan. Try to that was obviously a risky keep. I do think the upside was pretty high. That said, I wasn't pegging them on Delver. Probably would have changed the equation. So Spinner again, I think, just gets bolted. Force negations are too situational. A couple of acids can go. Grasses are going to be very good here. Carpets are going to be very good here. Doomwake is good. Back to Basics is going to be our sort of lights out finisher. What did we cut last time? The 4th Force? It's probably reasonable. I don't know, man. The assets are pretty bad. The thing is that they are enchantments, though. They're bad at dealing with aggressive permanents. They're actually pretty good in like other grindy matchups. Like those kind of permanents, it's usually fine to grind out and slowly kill, or like kill with flickering. But permanents that are just hitting you in the face, like Reality Acid, tends to be a little bit slow at actually dealing with them. Also, it can be working at cross purposes with like Ice Vein, for instance. Alright, we'll cut one of those, leaving the forces. Veil I don't generally like against Delver, because it's pretty awkward, like, against a Daze deck. Against a Grixis list that could be running like Thoughtseize, it might be better. But I'd still probably rather have Force at Will, even though it's possible that I might not have the blue card, and it is card disadvantage. But like, it's more likely that I might need to counter like a lethal lightning bolt or something. Because like a lot of the time against Delver, what you're doing is, you know, relying on grass to stall their board. This is a very similar hand, except that it does have blue mana and the second cantrip. We would name blue, obviously, even though we do have this. I think we keep. The fact that we have double cantrip, I think, gives us a lot better odds. And the fact that we have Trial in hand, which is really good against them, and Riptide and Back to Basics. Like, these cards are all really, really good against this, against Grixis Delver. But we really want our land. I need to be specific. A basic land, please. Fetch is fine. I think we lead on Omen rather than Ground Seal. We will be doing it main phase to try to make our land drop, even though, of course, we could do it on their step. That's a strong card. We can also use the Invocation to copy Utopia Sprawl and get our black mana that way, as well as, you know, develop more mana on the board. We'll see what they do. If they, such as, okay, Suboptimal Brainstorm is interesting. Now if they go like Dread Horde, we will try to Ground Seal. If Ground Seal can soak up a force, that's pretty good. Maybe I should have put the Invocation on the bottom just to try to get another land. I think actually we'll Omen into Ground Seal. And that way the Ground Seal could get dazed, but I'm actually not that upset if they get to cantrip with their I wonder what what they take here? Probably the trial. I would take the trial if it was me. Although I don't have black mana, so maybe they take the back to basics. They can have Reb for back to basics, so it's not like they don't have answers to it. Okay. Don't like Delver. I don't really want that. I'm gonna ground seal anyway. I could get dazed. That's fine. Next turn we can Invocation, copy Sprawl, and try to play Trial. If we draw land, things are different. Okay, Lightning Bolt. So we know about a Lightning Bolt and a Volk at hand. The clock has started. Okay. So 3 unknowns. And 1 Lightning Bolt. Here they're having to read the card. One advantage of the deck, I suppose. People wondering what the hell you're playing. Okay. I would have liked to draw a land here, but at least our hand's pretty good. They're probably going to flash back the Thoughtseize. They've got a Bolt, flashback Thoughtseize, and then 2 unknowns. I can't stop all these cards, but if they take the Invocation, then we can't Trial unless we draw black mana. We can just Riptide, have a blocker for the Delver or for the Dreadhorde. And we have a lot of good draws. Like even a Utopia Sprawl or a fetch land that can get by is a good draw. Okay. Want the Brainstorm. Interesting. So I think their other cards were not great then. To prioritize flashing back Brainstorm over Thoughtseize. And we are starting to get into dangerous life total territory here. What you got? I shuffled, got a random card. It's a lot of digging they're doing. A lot of digging. I thought about that one. Does that mean they're low on blue cards? You know, I mean, we can't afford to play around days, so Whatever they do doesn't make a huge difference, but I guess they found their counter. Whatever, we still have to do this. I feel like they found a counter, but they let that resolve. I wonder why. Maybe they don't realize what's about to happen, like that the invocation can copy it every turn, or maybe they just like are somehow going to kill me this turn, or just outboard me. I could have a Pyromancer, I suppose. No, because you would Pyromancer first, then Thoughtseize. I'm fine with keeping like I guess I'll lose both these cards. Well, that's all right. I mean, it's not great, but at least I got my invocation trial going, and I've got Yorion in the wings. I don't think once I get Riptide on board that I'm going to bounce the trial because the risk of it getting countered is too great. I'm just going to risk the Omen because it's not a huge deal if that gets countered. I could have just a Reb. That's fine. So Pyromancer is a card that would be really good in this situation. Or, sorry, what did they just? They tried to destroy the Trial of Ambition, which is not blue because it is a Trial of Ambition and not an Estrus invocation. Okay, free card. Okay, you could have killed the Riptide, but I'll take it. None of their Thoughtseizes are dead, so that's cool. We got that going for us. I don't think this version, I think only the blue-red plays Dragon Sprite, so I don't think I need to worry about a hasty creature, so I'll start attacking. So Riptide on the bottom. I think in this case it doesn't matter, but generally Riptide below trial. We will draw a card. I suppose it's useful to have. I could see, like, if I get a Pyromancer, then we need that. They could rev it now, so, but now they need a second and third rev, and we'd still, at that point, they'd be very low on resources. Okay. They want to force that. I think I'm willing to, oh, I can't draw into a force with Omen. That's fine. I'll still just Omen now. I don't necessarily care about Wasteland as much when they're this low on resources. I'm going to hide the Argothian on top because they do play Thoughtseize. What did they exile? Brazen Borrower. I'm okay with that. That card, yeah, would have attacked us and hurt our precious, precious face. That card is good with Argothian. They are best friends. Yes. Now we have a Force Pitch card. Okay, got there. Yeah, things looked a bit tight, but and there was that misplay with the Pirate Blast, but I don't think they misplayed otherwise. So like, hopefully we actually have a legitimately good hand game 3, because now we're on the draw. Do I like Reality Acid more or less than a random Force of Negation? I don't know if we want to, like, we're already so low on blue. I don't think we can trade it for like a spinner. We've got 10, 20, 24 blue cards. That's really low in an 80 card deck. That's like the equivalent of 18 blue cards in a 60 card deck. Which I've seen people do lower, but I couldn't recommend it. I think we keep the acid just because it's an enchantment. Not a great enchantment. And in fact, actually, no. I don't know. I could see. There are times, like maybe when you need to fight over a snake, that you want the Force of Negation. A snake that's going to kill some kind of attacker. It's got double snake. That's really good. And back to basics. That's also pretty good. And 3 basics. So to fire up our snaky Death Touch. Not Delver. Okay. A turn 1 Thoughtseize would have been annoying, but like tolerable. Turn 1 Delver is absolutely the best start. Turn 1 Ponder is great for us. I'm glad that they spent their turn doing that. Turn 1 there's an off chance, I guess, that they run Stifle. We've already got the black mana, so it's not like we need a fetch for it. So let's just get that out of the way. It's not like they run Jaces, so we don't get much value by saving our fetch. And I was running a random Miri's Guile, and it's fine, but stuff had to get cut to fit in like the trials and the snakes and stuff. All right, we will end of turn snake. If it flips, if it doesn't flip, we will go for the intercept. Did they shuffle the Ponder? No, they didn't. So they should theoretically have set this up. Okay, that's fine. So we won't block. We will do this now, though, while they don't have Spell Snare up and they're less likely to have days. Sure. Because that might have actually helped them by getting another land to get rid of. But if they have extra lands, they're going to have extra lands either way, I suppose. Now the question is, do I want to Argothian plus Abundant Growth? Do I want to Abundant Growth plus Snake? Do I want to go for the back to basics? I think I like Snake. You know about a Bolt? Although next turn we can. They didn't find a fetch land, I suppose, with their brainstorm, so that's good. So that means they've got a bolt somewhere in here. Maybe while our life total is still not that low, we want to Argothian into Abundant Growth, and then next turn double snake. We'll cast the Abundant Growth regardless of whether this Argothian resolves. So the next turn we can double snake. Putting it on the forest, of course. If we get a 2-for-1 here, okay, well we got a 2-for-1 either way, I suppose. Regardless of what happens. Okay, we're in a good spot. Even if they like edict us here, nice, that's a very good draw. It's fine. The bio with the back to basics, I guess, is awkward. It doesn't, it's fine. We're still gonna have a lot more mana, especially with the carpet, than they will. So it's all good. It's all good in the hood. What that? You got it. Draw cards. That was only 2 cards, right? Okay, that's fine. They spend their card drawing 2 cards. Their turn drawing 2 cards. I'm totally fine with that. Not a problem. Alright, now we get 2 mana off our carpet, which we will obviously be leading on. We're gonna not do the Argothian right now. We're like definitely up on the card advantage game. What we want to do is prioritize getting some stuff on the board where this 3/2 is slowly beating us to death. Not as slowly as we would like, it should be noted. Got a blue, so we say green. Do they force this? I wonder. No. They do have a bolt. We could go for the back to basics here, but I think I want to save that a bit. I'd rather just get the second snake out. I should have played the land. That was foolish. Now we could get dazed. They do force that. We'll play our non-basic, even they could get wastelanded. They have to play a bulk though to bolt it, and that gives us another mana for next turn. Here they bolt the snake. If they're down to 3 cards, we're at 10. We'll have 6 mana. Oh, Dreadhorde, interesting. That's really interesting. That's a very good draw. We will name green. I've got a lot of green cards here. I think we will go ahead and lead on the Argothian now. Because of the grass. The grass being such a good draw. When they're spent their whole turn like redeploying another threat. This really like kind of cancels out that whole move. We could go for the back to basics here. I think we might as well try to find a land drop though. There we go. I decided to run a random polluted delta over the 3rd basic island because there were times where I was like just drawing islands when I really needed the green mana, and this can like at least get non-basic green mana, but still get the basic island. And it can get Bayou, which is neat. But I think we'll just play a forest here. Going to 12 isn't great. I prefer being above multiples of 3 for obvious reasons. I think we'll go for the back to basics here. Like, worst case scenario, like, and we'll fight over it. We'll draw cards off of it. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it just resolves. And that will be very difficult for them to get out of. They could have another Volk and a Reb. We don't need all these lands. We will let the Delta go. So now their islands are making mana for us and not for them. So that's cool. Yeah, grass was a really good draw here. It's just, you know, the ability to cancel out their board development with 1 mana and then draw cards even if they do counter it. It's really strong. So they spent their turn and their land pondering. They do have another land. Okay. We'll fight over a Reb. We will definitely pay for a grass. We'll put Invocation into play. Copy the grass, and that should seal the deal. We could copy the back to basics if we think they're on Reb. But, I mean, they could have Reb, Force of Will. Honestly, it's fine. We'll still have double grass and an Ice Vein. And our board is developing pretty rapidly at this point. I just want a basic forest, so I'll lead with the Vista. I've seen a couple similar lists where people were making room for Sanctum. Sanctum like interacts cool with Yorion, because you know you can just make white mana and cast Yorion that way. But it does make more mulligans, and it can be awkward in other situations as well. We don't have as many percentage-wise like 1 mana enchantments to pump Sanctum either. So it's pretty much for you like Yorion and Destiny Spinner. And if you're running like 4 Destiny Spinner, maybe that makes sense, but I'm not. Let's get a kill condition, I suppose. Actually, maybe I'll just do Mike here. Why not? Let's do Mike. And we'll try to kill the Delver. I guess we could have attacked, it doesn't matter. They're going to Reb here, I assume, on the back to basics. So we have tons of cards to get rid of, so we will fight over it. I was thinking about whether to copy that, but like I said, I mean, I doubt I'll need another Remora at this point. They could force back. We'd still draw a card. Okay. And still have a way more developed board than they do. So. Alright. 4-1. What did I list to? Oh yeah, the Yorion Mirror. I think I have time for one more. So I'm gonna rejoin. The random Emrakul here. I was running into a lot of Hogak and Painter for a while, but I haven't in the past few leagues. So I was running this for that reason. It's also good against Omnitel. So I mean, that's like a few of the decks people were thinking like when people were like, "Oh my God, Yorion's gonna be the new like dominant deck," which didn't really happen. Those were the decks that people were like thinking of as counters to it, and Emrakul works against all of those. I guess also Reanimator is like a foil, but I don't have as much against Reanimator. That said, it's obviously a much better matchup than like with regular Enchantress. just because of that random force of will win that you can get. Alright, same list, run it back. Part of me would like a third ground seal. Depends. You know, it's mainly against the fair blue decks. It's also really, really good against Life from the Loam. And decks that are really reliant on that as their card advantage engine. Just being able to completely stop that and draw a card is really strong. Unfortunately, a lot of the fair decks using Graveyard as a resource are moving towards Uro, and Ground Seal doesn't do anything against Uro, but Uro's already a little bit, like the life gain doesn't matter against us, and the card draws, it's a little bit slow as a card draw engine. It's still, you know, annoying for sure if they get it going. But again, we can grind out those decks if they don't draw more counters in the first few turns than we draw hard threats. Like if we get an Enchantress or an Invocation through, we can outgrind them pretty easily, regardless of what their draw engine is. If we both get our draw engines going, ours is always going to be better than any other deck. The carpets have been pretty strong, especially, like I was saying, I think this version's a little bit weaker to Delver than the other versions of Enchantress, so and carpet I think is best in that matchup. It's very situational against the fair decks, because like a lot of them are running Leovold right now, and this targets, unfortunately, so it's really bad against Leovold. Yeah, Mind Break Traps have been great. They're very good against Garuda. They do not care about Cavern of Souls at all. Against Storm decks, they don't care about Veil of Summer at all. They do care about Defense Grid, unfortunately. The Back to Basics has been really good. I haven't been running again into much post, but there is like Eldrazi and 3-color Delver lists. It's been really solid against as a finisher. I haven't yet missed the 3rd and 4th grass in the main deck. I mean, obviously in some matchups. I think overall I've been happier with the trials. Random Seal of Primordium. I'd like to probably if there was room for a 16th sideboard slot. Oh yeah, and the 1/1 split of Doomwake, just because it's really expensive and there are matchups where it's not great. It's also been worse since Oko's become so dominant, because you know it just turns into an elk. But again, Yorion does allow you to reset, and also can be insane with Doomwake, right? Like you bring back like 8 enchantments at once. Not many things survive that. Oh, with Yorion and Estra's Invocation, important to note that Estra's Invocation has to have an enchantment that doesn't flicker. So like when it comes back, it has something to copy. So yeah, make sure that you're planning for that. So this hand doesn't have an Enchantress, but it does have Invocation plus either Omen of the Sea or Reality Acid. We also can accelerate into like a turn 4 Yorion, depending on how our board develops and what draws we have. We will get a basic forest with the Misty. Caracas could be good, depending on what we're up against. Could be bad if we're up against Delver, because it just opens us to Wasteland. And if we're against combo, we don't have force. But yeah, let's see what we're up against. Reality Acid. Yeah, so I took them out against Delver because of days, largely. Like, so you can't really remove their lands effectively. What is this? So, not a promising start. Hopefully they just have, like, prison pieces. Show and tell. That's annoying. So, we will Reality Acid. We'll put in Reality Acid on Ancient Tomb. Unfortunately, with Show and Tell, how this works is you don't get to copy stuff that comes in at the same time. Or sorry, you don't get to enchant stuff that comes in at the same time, so I can't acid whatever they put in. But I will be able to copy with don't also have another fucking Lotus Petal in place. That would be ridiculous, right? Seriously? Okay, well, they just had turn 1 with double. Alright, whatever. So we're against, I think, probably just blue-red sneak attack if they're running spirit guides. Sure. Okay. You got it, buddy. Okay, so I mean, they had the nuts hand and we didn't have the counter for it. So that happens. Mind break traps, definitely coming in. They add to the blue count, and they can also just fire off on their own, although not always. It's worth noting. Seal Primordium, kills sneak attack and omniscience if they're on omniscience. Grass, because they're on the blue-red version, grass will be good against sneak attack. Against the blue-green version that doesn't run it, like against omniscience, it's crap. But it is good against the sneak attack version. Emrakul is something to sneak in and could theoretically matter against a release that ants kill. I don't think Back to Basics is going to be reliable enough, nor is Carpet. Veil is a consideration. Doomwake for sure comes out. Ground Seal doesn't do anything. You know, I say that. Sometimes they're running Mystic Sanctuary these days, but I think that's more the UG Omnitel lists. Spinner, I'm not interested particularly in protecting my spells. Like, they are the aggressor, and I am trying to answer them. Trials are fine. I could cut a presence. I can cut one acid. They're pretty situational. They do add to the blue count. So what could have happened there is if they pass, you know, if they didn't also have the Spirit Guide on top of everything else, then we could copy it, enchant the sneak attack, or, you know, if they had not had the sneak attack, if they had put in like an Emrakul or a Grizzlebrand, we could have copied it. I think I like Veil more than Presence. And what else do I like Veil more than? I think we do need some Enchantresses. We need to start getting ahead in mana because we've got some card disadvantage in our forces. I don't really care about the wild growth. Yeah, I might really not care about the wild growth. Maybe I actually want like one presence over that. Just because, like, once we blow our hand, stopping them, we'll need to recoup that card loss somehow. Okay, so we've got a trial if they show in something, an ice vein if they don't. I don't think this is. I don't think I can play around their turn 1 hands. Like, we get to ice vein in something against a sneak attack. That said, it does have a pretty weak card plus a bunch of lands, so we can actually probably do better. This is awkward. I'll keep and get rid of a reality acid. We really need to draw a second land, very obviously. So it's kind of awkward that I cut 2 outgrowths. I will not be leading on the Remora. I mean, they could, like, walk into it and just, like, stupidly cast stuff for no reason. But I'm not gonna, like, plan on them being bad. Just gonna turn 1 again. I would like them to turn one again. This is going to be the hand that, like, they just have a slow start, and these Mindbreak traps are going to be useless, and we don't draw a second land. So, I mean, whatever. You know, it's not exactly common for Show and Tell to just put in a sneak attack and both creatures on turn one. So, you know, if they've got it, they've got it, and we don't have a Force of Will. All right, it happens. All right, that's a very good draw. All right, thank God. All right, so I mean, they could have Blood Moon. I'm gonna go ahead and get the island. It could bite me, like maybe I want the green later. But they could have Back to Basics or Blood Moon or something. I don't know. You never know with online people. Sometimes they do random things that don't make sense. And you don't want to be totally punished for it. We'll just cast the Mystic Remora next turn. If we draw a land, we'll play the second Enchantress, but the priority will be the Remora. Yeah, of course, it's just one spell. Alright. That's totally fine. I'm not upset. Two spells. That doesn't matter, right? You got it. It's really weird that they brought this in. Maybe they think I'm on, like, Helm of Obedience. Was there a plan? I mean, one good thing about playing Enchantress is people don't really have much of a frame of reference. So they go for, you know, what their random person at their local game shop plays. Alright, we'll draw a bunch of cards here. So hopefully find a grass, or like a fetch and a trial. I did shut off her one of Caracas. There's her boy. Let's Remora first. Druid, of course. Hopefully they don't read this card. I've definitely won a number of games where people just have not read Elephant Grass and are like, okay, whatever, I'll pay 2 mana and attack with my blue creature, but no. No, you will not, it turns out. Really wish this had been a forest, or that they hadn't had this. Alright, we did get to days. Interesting. Yeah, we'll force it. I mean, it's awkward. We can't, but if they want to counter again, maybe we'll draw our second forest. Forest, please, thank you. Oh, I was saying that this might bite me, and it did. No, I guess we needed to cast the Remora. Okay, you got it. It's countered. It's countered. Alright, here we are going to just get a trot. No, we're not going to get a trot. Yes, we are going to get a trot. We need the green for sure, not blue. I guess we could draw a trial, so Let's maybe get the bio, I suppose. I've already got more blue coming up. So they've played 2 spells, so if they try to counter this, we can Mind Break Trap. I'm sorry, am I targeting this? I can't tell what's being targeted here. Okay, I'm going to assume that that worked. I wish it had been clearer. Okay, I'm going to do a Force of Negation. That's nice. So they are at 2 life. That's pretty good. They can't Ancient Tomb. They can't draw more cards. They could easily have more Lotus Petals. I guess maybe we did want to save the Mind Break Trap. I was thinking, because we hadn't drawn the forest yet, I was like, we can at least cast this Remora. Try to draw something else. If they crack this, they can't force again. It's interesting. So we won't pay, well, we can pay for the Remora and the grass and cast another Remora. I think that's actually fine. That's a good draw. Nice. I mean, we have been pretty lucky in terms of the number of forces we've drawn here, and drawing that Utopia Sprawl is also very fortunate. As now we will be able to, we'll say green. We're going to need more green mana. Alright, that's good. We won't get rid of the Caracas, because if we find our Seal Primordium, we can just Caracas the Crystal Brand. We'll discard a fetch. No, I guess a forest. Okay, so now they can't win any counter wars. Because Force of Will is offline. Yeah, our life total isn't super important. And you know what? We're going to find other lands. So we'll just maintain our blue count as high as possible, because we've got 3 forces. And keep our backup grass. So fetches, Ancient Tombs, and Force of Wills are all offline for them. And we've got a bunch of counters, so unless they've got like some main deck split second thing, I think we got this. There's the trial. Perfect. Now we just need a snake. A sneaky snake. And we'll be good. Fantastic. I wonder what they're digging for. It's a little bit worrying, I suppose. Now I kind of wish I had back to basics. That's another thing about back to basics is like you can watch them game two and see if they just don't respect the possibility. If they don't get any basics or try to play around it in any way, you can bring them in and just like randomly mise a game off of it in game three. They're trying to deck me, but this is optional. Maybe they don't know that. Also, I've got 50 cards in my deck. Well, we don't need the 2-mana one. And I'm going to just play this other grass. So I don't need that. But I will save my Remora. We'll lead off with the free spells, as I was mentioning before. That's another free spell. That's another free spell. There's our kill condition. I'll play a forest. We will Utopia Sprawl. What do we want? Just blue, I suppose. Elephant Grass. Trial. Maybe at this point they're just waiting for me to show them more cards. So we're going to avoid showing them the Emrakul. If we can. We don't need any of these lands. We don't need Enchantresses. I guess we have to maintain our... Let's also not show them the Caracas. Let them not be certain if we actually have that. I don't think we need the second trial. Is that everything? Alright. Alright, fine. But Emrakul is especially important to not reveal because if it's going to steal one, it's probably going to be one where they just like think like showing in a Crystal Brand is sufficient, like that, and then we like crack back with Emrakul, and they might be discouraged from doing that if they know about Emrakul. So game three. All those Volks confirmed what we already suspected, that they're just on your traditional sneak in show. I didn't see anything that makes me think Cunning Wish is an option, and in fact, the fact that they would just throw out a Grizzlebrand suggests that they're not playing Cunning Wish, I think. Like they're just playing a more aggressive list, trying to put Sneak Attack or Show and Tell in the old-fashioned way. So back to basics is a possibility. Possibly better than acid. Either way, it's most likely going to be force fodder. But I do think there's a possibility of back to basics stealing it. And theoretically, situations where grass might not be sufficient against like an Emrakul, for example, could suddenly be a lot safer with a back to basics in play. Depends on the board, of course. Like I said, I think both are likely force fodder. So this doesn't have a second land drop or a force. So it has Excel and an Enchantress. If we draw a land, we can turn to Enchantress plus Wild Growth. And I guess we got the grass for the sneak attack plan, but I don't think this is good enough. This has a lot of filtering. Okay, that's a turn 1 play. It's our turn 2 play. We need another blue card if we draw force, and so I guess the Bayou goes. More than likely we'll draw another land. Okay, shuffle, that's good. I'm not gonna lie, I would really like to draw a force of some kind so I can feel at least a little safe. That's not it. Is this find a second land brainstorm or what? Brainstorm's really good in their deck. They always have like extra pieces that suck in any given situation. Alright, we'll save our land, our fetch lands, I don't know. Might not be relevant. I didn't think about this, but actually Boseiju is another reason back to basics might be good enough. Well, this can go to hell. There you go. There's our girl. Without any acceleration, playing a grass here feels pretty bad. If they are on sneak attack as a plan, it's useful, but if not, that said, we might just be stalling, so grass, well, we set up for a Yorion. So grass helps stall this turn, but might not in the future. At this point, I'm going to assume that they're not on Blood Moon or something. Although, actually, we are on Back to Basics, so I guess I need to play around my own cards. I actually kind of want to start attacking them just because of Grizzlebrand. If we can get them to 14 with their Ancient Tomb and fetches, that could be enough. Keep this around one more turn. That's an interesting. We did see days, I suppose, so we need to be conscious of that. Having a trial could be relevant. Like, if they don't go for sneak attack or omniscience, or show and tell omniscient sneak attack, the trial could be useful. They might not even be on omniscience, though. They probably are. I think most versions do run that, even the blue-red ones. Now, what I don't like about that is it stops trial. I can't find a force here, but I could find a mind break trap, I suppose. Veil doesn't help me, right? Does Veil help me in any way? I wish that had been a force and not a Veil. We didn't see the trap last time. So that's one spell. Two spells. I guess if we... Yeah, I mean, these are useless. Green, like, could they be on intuition? Veil would help us against intuition, and that's about it. I think we... what are we digging for here? A Mind Break Trap? Or a Seal Primordium? I guess Invocation is useful, at least. To put in. Alright. Wasn't expecting Veils. So, what do we got? Emrakul. Now I wish I had my Veil to help resolve this trial. Okay, so generally this has been buggy with Show and Tell and Esther's Invocation, like causing problems where it doesn't register that you're clicking, like to copy a certain thing. Then you gotta press no, and then there's like 50-50 chance that it copies it correctly, and then sometimes it randomly throws it in the graveyard, which is absolutely not what would happen. Did we get it? Okay. I don't need another invocation, but I could use a trap. Alright. Hopefully you don't have a force so well. We're gonna let the grass die, but we're 1 mana short of being able to like the land drop would help if we had 1 more land, because then we could trial plus main break trap backup. But I think as is, we could pay, okay, what we could do is make them pay 4 mana, sack both grasses and some other random stuff, and still, like, not be completely dead. I mean, the Ice Fang could trade with the Emrakul as long as we keep 3 basics around. So if I'm going to sack random lands, I'd rather sack fetch lands. I guess I didn't think about it. I'm going to have to crack that anyway. So, well, I really hope they don't have a Force of Will. Or another, well, I can't bail. That's one spell. Please don't. Said in conclusion, I don't know what that was. I didn't realize that there was like, don't have it, don't have it, don't have it. All right. All right. Now, if they have sneak attack, yeah, I'm fine running this grass out, to be honest. We've got our draw engine going with omens. I'm also okay with attacking. Again, we want to pressure their life total because it decreases the value of Grizzlebrand, and because of their reliance on this ancient tomb in the face of elephant grass. We were pretty lucky that they didn't have the Force of Will there. Sneak attack. Okay, so that's annoying. That's like we need to be alarmed about that for next turn, because they can end step, sneak something in. I might have to just go for the Yorion here. Okay, trial no longer useful. Land not useful. I guess double trap is alright. One stops Grizzlebrand. We can't stop Emrakul, but we do have a blocker for Emrakul. And, you know, we'll lose some permanence. But, if we Yorion here, we go to 15, which is lethal. I think we can leave Mindbreak Trap open and Veil, and we might actually just counter their cantrips and hope they don't have an Emrakul. It's very unfortunate. Versus if we Yorion, we obviously draw a million cards, but the sneak attack's already on the board. But then, like, I guess the mind breaks are not really helping either way. Right. I mean, we can always jump with the Yorion anyway, or just sack it. So we do want to get permanence on the board. Let's see. Look at a basic forest to leave me options if I have to sack, like, my whole fucking board. I could have attacked, but I really need this as a blocker, and if this gets countered, yeah, then I'm actually not upset about that getting countered. That's one less card that's not fucking Emrakul, you know? Not another Emrakul, just a Grizzlebrand, please. That said, it could of course draw Emrakul, but they only get one activation. They can't get through grass. So, I don't know how many Emrakuls this version runs. That's one spell. That's not a spell. Is that that's two spells? That's not a spell. That's really fucking unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, so had we left our mana open, that wouldn't have happened. But I don't think that means that we took the wrong line. Maybe they get confused by Alpha Crest. It's not very likely. Yeah, that's unfortunate. They did need a fairly specific group of cards like the Daze, the Pyroblast, and the Emrakul. Wasn't terribly likely. Alright, guys. But, you know, I mean, it was a close match. We could have had that, again, had that last Grizzlebrand draw been not exactly that, or had one of the Mind Break traps, like, had we drawn another Force instead when they cast a sneak attack. It was a close game. Again, there were some arguments for some of the cards they didn't side in, like Carpet. I think Back to Basics definitely would have been great in that board. But, you know, Veil, I don't know. Maybe a Veil's too situational there. Like, maybe Carpet is better than Veil. I don't know. But, you know, I thought it was a pretty close match. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to be heading out now. This coming Monday, they're going to be changing the companion mechanic. It's hard to imagine what they would do that would kill it for this particular deck. There's a lot of possible rules changes that would really just kick the Gyruda deck in the teeth. But this version, like, you know, if we have to like exile a card or something, like whatever, that's fine. We can do that most of the time. Certainly, anytime that Yorion's going to be like particularly good, you probably have a bunch of like cantrip enchantments, so you've probably drawn an extra card or two. So I don't see that. I don't foresee it being a huge change to this particular version. But I guess we'll see. All right, signing off.